I lost over 100 pounds and got jacked. But if I could go back and give my 270-pound self some advice, these are the 9 habits I'd tell her to follow. The first habit is to find fast foods that aren't fast food. One of the lies we tell ourselves that's easiest to believe is, I don't have time. And when you believe that you don't have time, you can justify things like fast food. This makes it super easy for you to stay stuck in justifying the things that you're doing that are not conducive to where you actually want to go. The solution to I don't have time is fast food. Instant gratification, taking something off of your plate, one less thing you have to do, you can just order it and it shows up. But in the long run, it's not actually getting you where you want to go. It's just an instant gratification for that moment. It's not a long-term solution. A long-term solution or habit that I built was finding foods that aren't fast food, so that in a moment, if I'm tired or I'm feeling like I don't have time or overwhelmed or even something changes, you have foods that are available for you that can still be conducive with your goals versus conducive with your emotions or how you're feeling in that moment. I get it. Sometimes life, she be lifing, and plans change, and what's that saying? Something about like life often punches us in the face. So if you can set yourself up for success with fast foods or convenient foods that are still conducive with your goals, you're gonna be able to still not have time and make progress. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Some examples of food that I keep on hand or sometimes in my purse or in the car that are conducive to my goals that are fast but not fast food are things like canned chicken, smoked sardines. You can grab like a rotisserie style chicken at Costco, take the skin off. Greek yogurt, protein shakes, rice cakes, sweet potatoes. You can just throw it in the microwave and it's ready in a few minutes. Now I get it. These are not super exciting foods that you're like dying to try, but it is the answer to the problem that you're creating with the lie that you're telling yourself about not having time. I get these aren't super exciting foods, pretty boring, but when you're actually trying to transform your body, boring is a good thing. Get your excitement from a conversation with a friend or learning a new skill versus overcomplicating things with these big complex recipes that take so long, and then in your mind, meal prep and eating healthy becomes this whole ordeal that you don't have time for, when really it can be super simple if you just find fast foods that are not fast food. The second habit is to build hella muscle. Get thick. For a lot of women, the problem is not necessarily that they're overweight, it's that they're under muscled. They don't eat enough protein, and then they focus on cardio instead of resistance training, which if all you want is the number on the scale to come down, sure, that could help. If you reduce your calorie intake and increase your calorie output, you're gonna lose weight. But that weight can also be muscle. If you're behaving in ways that are conducive to keeping or growing muscle, you're gonna be a lot better off because it keeps you stronger, it prevents osteoporosis and other disease, it prevents you from falling as you age and lose balance and strength, and it increases your metabolism. Muscle on your body actually takes energy to exist, whereas fat on your body is stored extra energy. So if you can increase the muscle and decrease the fat, you're going to increase your body composition and your metabolism. Your metabolism isn't broken. If a toned look is what you're after, if you don't have muscle underneath the skin and when you lose the body fat, there's nothing to give you the toned look. A toned arm is muscle pressing up against the skin. But if there's no muscle there, there's no tone. Having muscle also helps support your hormones, your confidence, and your libido. A lot of women think,
but I don't want to get bulky.
I don't want to appear too manly.
But here's the thing, getting bulky doesn't happen by accident. Growing muscle does not just, you drink a protein shake and do a bicep curl and all of a sudden you look like the Hulk. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. What does happen by accident? Muscle loss. If you're not focused on things that are keeping muscle and growing muscle as you age, you're going to lose it. What's it? If you don't use it, you lose it? Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use your body in ways that are conducive to muscle growth or maintenance at least, you will lose it. Then all of a sudden, you hit 40 and that's when the light switch happens and your hormones are fucked and your metabolism's broken and all of these things. But really what it is compounding interest of the lifestyle you've been living up until this point. And it seems like it happened overnight, but it didn't. It happened every day with every choice you made. Even while I was prepping for my bodybuilding show and lost 30 some pounds, I had a DEXA scan done when I started my prep, and at the end of my prep, the day before my show, I was in a pretty extreme deficit for a hot minute towards the end. I didn't lose muscle mass, according to the DEXA scan, because I behaved in ways that were conducive to keeping muscle or growing muscle, eating adequate protein, focusing on resistance training. Even after my show, when, let's be honest, I was eating a little bit like a trash panda. Because of the habits that I've built, I still prioritize hitting my protein goals and resistance training. And even though, yes, I've put on some fat since, part of that was good because I lost my period when I was just before my show. And so that's not good for your hormones. Now I have it back and I've put some body fat back on. And I just recently had a DEXA scan done and I gained 3 pounds of muscle also out of the weight that I gained. So I got my body fat back up to a normal range that's conducive to female hormones. But in the process, I also put on 3 pounds of muscle. Even though I was eating ice cream like it was my last day on earth, I still prioritize my protein and my resistance training program and managed to put on 3 pounds of muscle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Focus on being stronger instead of weighing less. The third habit is to trick your brain into walking more. Sounds silly, I know, but some brains need to be tricked because they're stubborn. How many times have you said, I'll do this later, and then later doesn't come? Like,
Oh, I'll go for a walk later.
and then later rolls around and so does Netflix and the sofa. So instead of relying on motivation, I started manipulating my environment. I would park at the end of the parking lot instead of circling the parking lot for 3 minutes trying to find the perfect closest spot. And in that time, you could have just parked farther away and walked into the store and done what you needed to do and left anyways. You can save yourself time too. I did things like became the person that took the stairs instead of the elevator, or take the stairs instead of the escalator, or if you're gonna take the escalator, still walk up the escalator. I started walking instead of driving when it made sense, if you're just going a few blocks. So once you get all ready and you get into the vehicle and you drive, 6 blocks or whatever, find your parking spot, go in and do your thing, drive back home, all the stuff. You likely could have walked there and saved time. And yeah, it might take you slightly longer depending where you're going to walk, but it's like you're investing that time instead of spending it, if that makes sense. You're investing in your future self by getting yourself to move more instead of being the person that takes a vehicle everywhere. Another excuse I had for myself was, well, I'm working at my desk all day. I can't walk. Enter the walking pad. I became a person who, if I could walk while I was taking a meeting, if I wasn't able to walk outside or whatever, if I had to be at my desk, then I had the walking pad so I could at least be standing up and walking, because sitting is the new smoking. Sitting all day can be super detrimental to your health in multiple ways. Get a standing desk, set yourself up for success, and get a walking pad. You don't need some big thousands of dollar treadmill like the olden days that just becomes $1,000 clothes rack. You can get a walking pad on Amazon for a couple $100. So instead of complaining that it's too expensive and focusing on the problem, let's be solution orientated. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way to get it. If you haven't realized yet, these first 3 habits are super simple ways that you could take these and run with them and start losing weight and getting healthier immediately. Sometimes getting yourself to do the actual thing is the problem. The why behind the what. You know what to do, but why aren't you doing it? The 4th habit to swap over to, staying at Airbnbs instead of hotels. I travel a lot of our clients travel a lot. It's part of life. And it can also be part of your success, not detrimental to your health and fitness goals. If you implement number 1 with the finding fast foods instead of fast food, that'll help you. But the second part of that is the availability to keep on track with your nutrition. So you can set yourself up for success by staying at an Airbnb where they have everything in the kitchen that you need, and you can just swing by the grocery store and find a few things and keep it simple. Remember, food doesn't need to be exciting. So keep it simple and you can still keep on track with your nutrition. I remember one time when I was a wee lass, I played soccer growing up my whole life, and my parents would, I don't know, once a month or whatever, we would go to a soccer tournament, and the foods that we would eat were never conducive to like supporting an athletic child through no fault of anybody's, but ordering things like pizza. But one thing I specifically remember, mint chocolate chip ice cream, one of my favorites, that and Tiger. But I remember you can get ice cream in a box, and I was staying in a hotel with my mom and dad, and it was probably me being like, I want this ice cream in the worst way, even at an early age. But we bought this box of ice cream, legit a box, and then there was no freezer in the hotel room to keep it in. And so we legit ate the whole box between the 3 of us because we didn't, heaven forbid we waste it, or like it melts, right? So just stuffing myself full of this ice cream so that it didn't get wasted. Oh wow. These are the habits that I grew up with and carried into my adulthood. And then when I would travel, I would do the same thing. Stay at a hotel, order fast food. It wasn't conducive to my health and fitness goals. It was just like the habit that I've created. It was just the way things were. It was just the person I was. That was my lifestyle. So until I interrupted the pattern and was like, how about I get an Airbnb instead so I can make my breakfasts instead of going down to the restaurant and getting, a high fat, high carb breakfast. I can make a high protein breakfast for myself and feel good. I could batch prep my meals. So just go to the grocery store and buy 1 or 2 protein options, 1 or 2 carb options, and prep them in bulk to make it simple for myself. So this way I could stay in alignment with what my goals actually were. One simple decision, a different environment, a better outcome. The 5th habit, start sleeping and stop scrolling. This falls in alignment with if you're sleeping, you ain't eating. I'm a mom, I was a wife, I get all the things, business owner. I used to have a job. You get home at the end of the day and tired and you have to do all the duties and then, full of resentment. And at the end of the day, you want your me time, right? Kick back, relax, turn on Netflix and chill. Or you finally get the kids to bed and you go flop down in your own bed and you ever just scroll until you fall asleep and drop the phone on your face? I have. The late night scrolling was part of one of my escapes for my me time. If it wasn't eating or drinking or all of the other things, scrolling was a good little dopamine hit for my me time. So it was like an escape. But you know what else escaped with it? The results I was looking for. When you stay up late, you generally eat more, move less, and make poor decisions. Or do some late night shopping to get your dopamine hit. Or just add stuff to cart and never actually buy it. But that feels good too, right? An escape from reality. I used to say I'm not a morning person. And even when I say that now, that statement tells me everything I need to know about what my nightlife was like. So if you're saying you're not a morning person, reverse engineer, what do you want? And then what does your evening need to look like to be in alignment with what you actually want versus what you're feeling in that moment when you want your me time? Because your me time should actually serve you. And I can tell you that 6 a.m. XT makes way better decisions for future self than 9 p.m. XT ever did. The 6th habit is making it harder to eat super calorie dense foods. Out of sight, out of mind. I used to tell myself,
well, we can have treats in the house because of the kids. The kids need treats, right?
No, they don't. And also, that was just an excuse for me to justify having Oreos and ice cream. It's for the kids. The kids don't even like Tiger. Shut up. Yes, they do. It's for them. The old saying, out of sight, out of mind. So even when I would bring home the treats, when I was my best self in that moment, I would give it to the kids or husband at the time to put it away so that I didn't have the mental inventory of where all the treats were in the house. Also things like just don't bring it into the house if you know that you're gonna cave and go raid the pantry like a trash panda. If you actually have to leave the house to go get the thing and just get like 1 serving of it, that's implementing another barrier or another opportunity to make a different choice to the habit you have that isn't conducive to who you want to become. If I had to leave the house to go get a Blizzard, that was a lot harder for me as someone who was lazy and overweight than if I just had to walk to the freezer to get the ice cream. Another one I hear amongst our clients.
My spouse brings it into the house.
Cool. If your spouse jumped off a bridge, would you? Or here's another one. If you absolutely hated running and your spouse started running, would you start running too? Questions to think about while you dodge responsibility to justify staying stuck. You're a full-grown adult that can make these decisions for themselves. And I get it. There's a whole bunch of fears around it too, like, well, this is how we connect, or this is just what we do, or, if I change, they might not like it, or they might not like me anymore. Well, if you're staying stuck, staying someone you don't want to be, that person only likes the current version of you anyways. If you're fearing losing them, if you make a change, then maybe those aren't your people. If someone can't accept you for who you're becoming and support you in your goals, then maybe that person just isn't the person, and that's okay. Don't allow the version of you that someone else wants you to be to limit your actual potential and who you want to be. The last point here to wrap this up with a pretty little bow. If it's not in the house, it's not in your mouth. All right, bring us to number 7, build hunger endurance. Now I know that might sound weird. You're like, are you telling me to starve myself? That's not healthy. No. I'm not telling you to starve yourself, and humans can go a long time without food before they'll actually starve. You're okay. But as a society, we've normalized feeling full and stuffed and having to undo our pants at Thanksgiving dinner or wear your meat pants or whatever. And it's almost like a badge of honor, like, oh, I'm so full. On the reverse of that, as soon as we feel a tiny little bit of hunger, crisis! Oh no, I'm gonna starve to death. I'm ravenous. I could eat a horse. All of these things that you tell yourself that really like amp up the situation and set you up for failure, because then it's like crisis, panic, I don't know where my next meal's coming from. Let me just jam shit in my mouth. Hunger is okay. And if you're in a calorie deficit and trying to lose weight, you might feel a little hungry. It is okay. You know where your next meal's coming from. Hunger isn't an emergency. It's a signal of the system that's like, hey, we're looking for some energy. And your body's preferred source of energy is just, putting it in the mouth hole. But if you are in a position where you are overweight, you have fat on your body, which is stored excess calories, your body can also use that to give itself some energy. So while yes, hunger might be a little bit uncomfortable because you're not used to it, being full and stuffed is actually uncomfortable in itself. It's just that we've normalized that, but hunger is bad. For me, understanding that a lot of it is even confusion of cravings and hunger, and like what actual hunger is, and that it's okay and you can sit with the hunger and it'll likely go away in a couple minutes. It isn't a signal to just eat food. Here's the truth. Change takes change, and discomfort is a huge part of change and growth. And if you can learn to embrace that versus go into crisis, it's actually going to serve the person you want to become. Surviving a little bit of hunger won't kill you, and it might actually save your life in the long run. The 8th habit, find fit friends. Triple F. They say you're a product of your environment. You become the, 5 closest people you spend the most time with. So if you take a look around the room, are those 5 people that you would like to become? Are the habits that they have ones that you want to keep in your life? You can set yourself up for success with this in big ways, or you can set yourself up for failure. As an example, if I'm trying to stop swearing and I hang out with you and you swear every second word, I'm likely to keep swearing also because I just want to fit in with you. And you're doing it, so I'm doing it. The same thing goes for food and fitness when you're trying to make changes. If all of your friends eat like offensive linemen when you guys go out to eat, you're likely to eat like one too. If your social circle makes fun of the gym, you're likely to skip it. But if everyone around you lifts, walks, drinks more water, and actually values their health, a rising tide lifts all ships. You're gonna get pulled up with them. But where do I find these fit friends? Well, so if you were looking for a good time and a party, where would you go? To a club, to a party. Something like that. If you're looking for fit friends, look where fit people hang out. A gym, a yoga studio, CrossFit, a run club, if you're into those things. Start showing up where the people you want to become are already at. Rolling into the 9th habit, track calories eaten, not calories burned. Everyone loves to brag about their calorie burn. I did 500 calories on the treadmill today. Cool. And then did you eat 700 calories as your reward? I totally get it. Tracking your burned calories can feel super rewarding and motivating, but tracking what you're consuming is where you actually get the result. Nobody claps when you say, I tracked all my food today and stayed in a calorie deficit and ate nutrient-dense foods. Not in the same ways that they'd clap for you if you're like, I went and worked out today. But tracking your food is where you can actually move the needle. If you're blind to the amount of calories you're consuming and too focused on the amount of calories you're burning, you can still easily be over-consuming calories. And the simple facts of it is, if you're eating too many calories, you won't lose body fat. You cannot out cardio a bad diet. And fat loss doesn't come from what you burn so much as the calories that you don't overconsume. We are really good at helping ladies in their 30s to 60s to lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks, get healthy, and actually implement lifestyle changes that are gonna set you up for success long term, not just the fad diet, white knuckle it to the finish line and then throw your hands up and go right back to the way you were. If this is something that sounds interesting to you and you're ready to actually change your life long term, I'll leave an application at the bottom of the video and you can fill it out and jump on a call with our success team to see if what we do is a good fit for you. These are the 9 habits that help me lose over 100 pounds, and here's 7 foods that are making you fat.